Has last year tested your mental resilience? Well, COVID has brought so many changes and challenges that everybody's life is changed and it has impacted all aspects of life, but especially our mental health. Would you like to learn some tips and stories of thriving through COVID year? Then you are in the right place. Today, many of your favorite guests are joining us live or have sent messages with their best tips. What helped them may help you too. As today is the 50th episode and 1 year anniversary of Happy and Healthy program mind programming, we are going to share behind the scenes stories as well as prizes for the winners of the contest we ran this week.
Stay with us for the fun and learning so you can also learn the practical tools of resilience and live your best life and health and happiness despite all the stressors in life. Give us thumbs up to let us know that you believe in that message.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Happy and Healthy Mind, where you can learn tips for your mental fitness from all our guests and me. My name is Dr. Rosina.
And my name is Justin Allen Hayes. Dr. Rosina provides practical and effective tools for mental health and well-being. As a medical doctor specializing in psychiatry, a best-selling author, and a transformational speaker, she has been helping people live happier and healthier lives for more than 20 years.
And Justin Allen Hayes, he's an advocate for many as they begin their mental health journey and get ready to thrive again. He's a professor of marketing, an author, and a career coach. His work draws from lived personal experience fueled by a near-death incident that completely changed his outlook on life. Justin's most recently published book, Prescription for Living, is an autobiography about his mental health journey that starts with merely surviving to now thriving.
And today we bring you an action-packed program full of inspiration, fun, and celebration. So first, let me ask you, Dr. Rosina, why did you start this program, Happy and Healthy Mind?
Why? Because I truly believe that our mind influences all aspects of life. See, I'm a psychiatrist and I see people with most resistant depression. And it hurts my heart to realize that so many of their suffering could have been prevented. There are many causes of depression that are not in our control, but others are. Actually, research is showing that we can prevent many cases of depression or delay the onset of depression or reduce the severity of depression. So therefore, I'm on a mission to take this knowledge of a happy and healthy mind to more than 1 million people, to you, so that you don't have to suffer unnecessarily and you can live your best life. That is why I always ask my audience, if you find value in these programs, like, subscribe, and share so more people can be helped to live happier and healthier life.
So when did you start HHM?
Well, when COVID started, you see, when COVID started, I needed to train or help my patients adopt to the changed lifestyle. I needed to teach them how to communicate virtually and then cope with the stress of working from home and learn some of the exercises. So I started doing this program, and then because it was helping so many people, I continued. I had the privilege of bringing in so many wise people and bring their messages to the audience and help people develop a healthy and happy mind.
Don't you feel nervous on camera though?
Oh, yes. The first time when I was doing the online recording, I had tears in my eyes because, I felt nervous and I stumbled on words and I worry how people are going to judge me. So actually, I'm taking a risk by doing this program. But I have my coach to thank, Derek Dipker, that you are going to hear a little later. So it's an inside story. I was saying that what if I say something wrong on the screen? And so he asked why. Oh, he asked what do you do if you make mistake in front of the patient? And I said, well, we stumble, we apologize, we laugh about it, and we go on. And so he said, why don't you do the same thing with people on the live? And so that really helped me. And I started this program, and it has been running for the whole year. So I have to thank Derek for his inspiration.
So you stream these interviews live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube and Facebook. Let me remind the audience first, if you are joining us during the live program today, please share your thoughts in the comment section so we can include it in the program today. So why did you decide to do live instead of the podcast recording that most people do, Dr. Rosina?
But you just saw the benefit. You were able to tell people to put the questions in the comment section. So that is the benefit. I wanted to help people get the answers right away. So having the live program helps with that. And then I'll tell you the story about or something that I struggle with. And I struggle with a little perfectionist tendency. So when I tried to make the video, I would keep editing over and over again because I would feel that it's not good enough. So by going live, I have taken away my tendency of being perfectionist. Whatever is it's life, it goes on, and I don't have the opportunity to keep working on it, and I can bring more value to people. So that's why I go live. So Justin, let me ask you, you have been part of these programmings from kind of very beginning, and you approached me because you liked it, and then you came as a guest on the interview. So what do you like about the programs?
I particularly like the text reminders. People who are watching or listening, if you have not signed up already, I suggest that if you would like to get those texts for reminders about future programs, text the word joyful, JOYFUL, to the number 38470 right away, so you can also get the reminders and resource links. You know how you do a special at the end of each episode? I especially like those special tools. And what I also like even better is that we get to hear from guests from all spectrums and all walks of life, from doctors to authors to leaders, and especially from the people living and thriving with mental challenges like me. The stories of struggle that guests share, their turning points, and how their lives have changed by applying certain tools really inspire me the most.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. And we'll share some behind the scenes and more things to come. But let's first introduce our guest. So let me bring my coach that I was talking earlier about. Derek Tipker is an author of 7 best-selling books and has been a coach for the authors and has helped me make my book the bestseller. So thank you, Derek, and thank you for joining. So tell us, what is the main challenge you went through during this COVID year, and what helped you overcome?
So when COVID hit, I'm grateful, happy and grateful that I'd already built a business working from home. So I was in a fortunate position where I saw my main focus when everything happened as how can I support the people that are a part of my audience, a part of my tribe. I saw that many of them were going through the stress, potentially depression. What am I going to do? How am I going to get through this? They were going through a lot of that. And so my challenge was going, how can I be the best leader and best way to be of service to the people that I support? And one of the things that's really helped me is something I heard years ago, this idea of one hand, try to get on camera, one hand up, one hand down. And the idea is you, no matter where you're at, you can have one hand up to people who can support you, to people who can help you. And you can also have one hand down to people who might need your support, where you can lift them up and help them. And so I always take that approach and I go, when do I need to get help and support? And who do I need to ask for help? Who can be there to guide me? So I was going to my mentors and learning from them in terms of how I could best be of service. But I also had one hand down, helping the people who were coming to me and asking me questions like, Derek, I help people with their book sales, book sales have they're stopped. What's going on with COVID? How do I handle all this? And so I had to be the calm, stay calm myself to help guide them through that. So that's what really helped me. This one hand up, one hand down. And no matter where you're at, I believe you have people who you can reach out to for help and support. And sometimes that's the biggest challenge, is being willing to ask for help. And there's also situations where you might be the leader. And when you're focused on serving others, then you start to see the opportunities and see this as a way to give back and help those who need your help.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So it's kind of a privilege as well as a challenge to be in that leadership position. So, and such a wonderful tip of having one hand asking for help and one hand helping somebody else. So great. Thank you so much. So do you have a message for our audience?
Yeah. So this is my go-to tip for getting through just about anything in life, whether that's overcoming fear or procrastination, or what do I do in this moment, especially the more chaotic things are. I come back to what I call the 3 magic words. And the 3 magic words are, can I just? You find one thing that you can do today. If that's, if someone wants to start meditating more, practice a gratitude practice, can I just ask myself one thing that I'm grateful for? I can be stressed out in a minute, but for now, can I just think of one thing that I'm grateful for? Can I just take one breath? Can I just do this one next step that I know to do, and I'll figure out the rest later? And if you can bring it back to these tiny little steps that you can take in that right direction, then that momentum generates motivation and it carries you forward.
Thank you so much. And that tip has helped me a lot. So thank you. And thank you for joining today. And I'm sure our audience has benefited a lot with your program and all your tips you shared. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Our next inspiration comes from our guest, Dr. Glenn Schiraldi, and he sent us a written inspiration. He's the author of Overcoming Adverse Childhood Experiences, and a lot of you have sent me the messages that you loved his program. Justin, please share what he sent.
He shared these inspirations from the work of Edith Eva Eger, a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor. Here are a few inspirational thoughts related to her life experiences to help you celebrate. The first inspirational thought: peace of conscience is a critical key to resilience. We can endure outward suffering much better when we are at peace inwardly. As one Army general once said, what matters most in the twilight years is having lived an honorable life. Edith was forced to dance for the Nazis in Auschwitz. She said that her conscience was clear, but that the Nazis would have to live with what they had done.
What an approach. It's beautiful. She also says that she had no time for hate. Forgiveness is liberating. Ponder on that.
Very powerful. Third area of inspiration: life is still beautiful despite what has happened to you.
The opposite of depression is expression. What is stuck in our bodies makes us ill. And abundant research, for example, has shown the benefits of writing in a journal, the facts, the thoughts, and the feelings related to our greatest traumas. So she suggests writing 15 to 30 minutes for each of four consecutive days. In the darkest places, we find a gift, the light, the untapped potential to become stronger and more joyful. Thank you, Dr. Schiraldi, for sending this message. And I'll give a shout out to the audience. If you have not read his book, Overcome Adverse Childhood Experiences, is available on Amazon. Check it out. Multiple practical techniques to help get rid of the body's memory of adverse childhood experiences that you may have had in life. All right. So our next guest is Rebecca Satin, and she is joining us live. So let me bring her on. Hi, Rebecca. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining.
I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for including me on this auspicious occasion.
You're welcome. Yeah, your story was really inspiring because a lot of us struggle with balancing lifestyle, and you shared it when you came in. And let me tell the audience that you are a chief information officer of World Software Corporation and part of the Alt Founding Circle. You've had more than 25 years of experience, and you speak about cybersecurity, design thinking, collaboration, deployment planning. And so today I have a question for you. What has been your biggest challenge in the COVID year, and what has helped you the most?
Well, I think my biggest challenge, and this has been a challenge for me, not just during COVID, it was just made more difficult during this year, but maintaining a good work-life balance. I have a tendency to be a workaholic. And with my office now suddenly being at home, a few steps from where I do everything else at home, made it easier to fall into that trap of working too much. So I think one of the things that I did, especially for me and my entire team at the office, we offered the Headspace app to everyone at my office. And I also held some periodic virtual happy hours because I feel like, we're a team. And when you work in the office and you can see everybody, there's something that you get from that is missing when you're working from home. And so even if it was just every, once a month or something, to be able to see everybody when we weren't, very stressed and working, and the job that we do is not an easy one because, technical support people tend to be dealing with people when they're not very happy. So it's a lot to
My
absorb.
system is not working.
Exactly. So having that ability to have those virtual happy hours and just have that time when we weren't having a meeting about work and we were just taking some time for ourselves, that was really helpful.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
for myself, I make sure that I get outside of the house at least once a day, because just walking around the neighborhood and doing some sort of physical activity, but especially being outside, has definitely helped me.
Yeah. And it's such an important thing to remember because I started doing it, and then when I get busy and sometimes I forget, and then I realize, how big a difference it makes. And so what message do you have for our audience today?
Mainly that it's just so important to schedule that time for yourself every day, because like you just pointed out, if you just think, oh, I'll fit it in at some point, you might forget, it might not happen. You have to put that on your calendar and make sure you reserve that amount of time for yourself and for your own well-being.
Wonderful. Thank you. So go ahead and put the time on your calendar. Everybody who's listening, start doing some activity to balance your life. And thank you, Rebecca, for joining.
You're welcome.
And you're welcome. And let's bring in next is our video sent by our guest Patricia Brooks, and let's listen to her.
Patricia Brooks, and I've had the honor of being on the program not once, but twice. The very first time was way back in the beginning of the pandemic, and I was stressed. We all were. I was stranded in the United States, unsure of when I'd be able to get back home to France. And I was uncertain about how much I was going to be set back financially because of it. But Dr. Rosina wanted me to come on this show and share how I was dealing with that stress, and that was through laughter. But what I gained by being on the show was an emptying of my mind, of my worries about my situation. By sharing my experience, an experience I was still going through, one that I had not resolved, I was able to get that out of my head. And I was able to clear space to think more positively about my path forward. And so, Dr. Rosina, I want to thank you for helping me in that way. I pray that my appearances have helped others to find ways to deal with their stress. And I want to congratulate you once again for all the work that you're doing and all the lives you are positively impacting. I look forward to what year 2 will hold for Happy and Healthy Mind.
Thank you, Patricia, for such a beautiful message and inspiration. I would second her tip. Laugh. Whenever things start getting built up, do some laughing yoga. Go out for the nature, and it would allow your mind to open up, and you'd be able to see the solutions to your problems better. All right. So thank you, Patricia. She's a host of Discovering Courage podcast. So you can listen to her podcast. She's an author of two inspiring books and currently working on her third one. And in 2018, at the age of 51, she started a new journey from following her own advice from her book, Growing Bold. She set a meaningful goal, created a plan, and followed it. Then she left, leaving her job in US behind to live in south of France. Now she's helping single women work through their fears and doubts to go from surviving in a country that no longer suits them to living and thriving in one that does. So I give shout out to her podcast and to her books. Please check them out. You'll find a lot of inspiration. So, next one is the message from Dr. Sandra Jain, and she's a psychotherapist, researcher, and co founder of Wild Five Wellness Program. She's also an adjunct clinical affiliate of School of Nursing at the University of Texas, Austin. And in her interview, Dr. Jane shared an easy to follow program that has proven to improve many lives. Her program was Power of Daily Wellness Habits, 5 easy practices that can change your life. And she has sent us this message.
Hi, Dr. Rosina, and hello to all your viewers. Sandra Jane here. I am honored to have been a guest on one of your HHM episodes. Congrats on hitting your 50th episode. What an amazing achievement. You continue to amaze me, Dr. Rosina. Your work is reaching so many people and changing so many lives. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dr. Jane. So nice of you for sharing your message. Next one is the client testimonial, and this message is sent by Hamida Lalani. And she writes,
Each time the issue of HHM was emailed to me, it was a blessing. I love the episodes on depression, anxiety in the face of COVID, and the tools for essential workers to help cope with stress. Having school age kids who were unable to go to school at the time and were away from their friends and colleagues was devastating for them, especially for the teenagers. We did, unfortunately, have a number of suicidal deaths of 15 and 16-year-olds during the past year that was related to COVID. Reading about how to deal with those tough situations and to help your team came at the right time. I was able to connect with my team and provided him with the time and attention he needed to get through those lonely days. I thank you for your efforts, Dr. Rosina, to help our community at large in any capacity possible that you do. Just want to let you know that you can't even imagine how and when it would affect someone in a positive way. Happy anniversary of Happy and Healthy Mind. Hamida Lalani.
thank you so much for this feedback. And you won't believe how feedback like this, when you write back to my email or to you do a post and you send me the feedback like this, how it helps me and all of us in this field to do more work to help, because it is pretty, sometimes it becomes overwhelming. Sometimes I spend 5 to 10 hours per episode to bring these tools to you. So when I get the feedback like this, I get inspiration to continue to do the work. So keep sending that feedback, and thank you so much, Hamida. And here I want to announce the prize winners for contest on feedback. Written feedback goes to Hamida Lalani and Cindy Simonson, that we would listen to her testimonial in a few minutes. So thank you. Please, we'll get in contact with you. And for all the people who are listening, if you don't get the emails, these are full of practical tips and tools for mental fitness. If you have not signed up, sign up so that you can also get benefit like Hamida.
So we're going to lighten it up here for a second. So, Dr. Rosina, what has been the funniest experience you've had during this year of programming?
All right. It makes me still laugh. So we were having a program. I was talking to my friend, Dr. Nazneen Lokhandwala, and we were talking about depression and diabetes. Okay. And that day we had the yard cleaners outside. So they were making noise. So I went out and I told them that I'll be going live. So please don't make noise between this and this time. And they said, okay, we'll stop. All right. So I start the program, and a few minutes into the program, we hear this loud noise from outside, and I'm fuming. And okay. So I let my friend continue to teach while I turn off my video and I go and tell them to stop. And so I went out, and because they were making such a loud noise and I was upstairs, I was waving to them, I was screaming to them, please stop, I'm doing the live show, please stop. And so I was really, really screaming at them like loudly. And then finally they heard me, they stopped cutting. And I said, you can do it after half an hour, but give me half an hour. All right. So I come back, and you know what? I did the blunder. I had forgotten to mute myself. So everybody could. And my friend said there were funny noises coming and I didn't know what to do. So we laughed a lot after that program, and so funny things happen.
Yeah.
All right. So here I would like to give shout out to some of the other guests. Salima Villani was a recent guest, and she is the author of a book, Innovate Starts with I. And she was not able to join today because she has a TEDx talk coming tomorrow. And so if you guys want to join her talk or listen to her, she's talking about finding your sweet spot and reinventing oneself at 5:40 Eastern time. And I'll put the link in the description. Other people I want to give shout out is Kelly Dowell. She is a psychology student who actually was interviewing me in the initial few programs, and she helped me start the program. So thank you, Kelly. The other guests that I would like to appreciate, Andrea Markstorm, Corey Cotton, Dr. Jean Cotton,
Jim Peterson, Josh Best, and Julia Welsh.
Thank you all. You are all contributing to a lot of people living a happier and healthier life. So now let's call in one of our next guests who has been a recent guest, and she is going to introduce herself. So I'm bringing in Vickyrood, and we did a program on happiness habits recently, and I also shared her happiness summit, Happy Habit Summit. What was it called, Vicky?
It was a habit mastery summit.
All right. Yeah. And I got a lot of feedback from people who were watching. And I also enjoyed a lot of talks. So thank you. So tell us, what has been your biggest challenge in this year?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I am a big fan of what you're doing and the preventative rather than the reactive form of wellness, I think is super important. And we usually forget our mind, right? So I am all on board. And with that said, as I talked about on the podcast, I'm a gal in recovery. And what I go to 3 to 5 meetings a week before COVID, and everything was shut down. And I had no idea what I was going to do, because that is a huge support system within my life. And a friend of mine who had 60 days called me up, and she asked me to, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So I don't worry, I have Zoom. We're going to do a Zoom call, because I was working from home already. And all of a sudden on Facebook, we put a little group together. It was supposed to be 30 women. It turned out that it was 15,000 people by the end of the week. We started doing 7 meetings a day every day. We're still doing 7 meetings a day. And I just got into service, because that first moment when everything shut down, I went into a deep anxiety, and I was scared, and I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't know, I was freaking out. But getting into service, and kind of what Derek was talking about, getting into service took me out of my head, and I was able to focus out. And now I have friends across the globe. I talk to people from UK almost every day, Canada. It's been a gift.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, what would be your message? What message would you like to give to the audience today?
Well, I think that if you're going inward and if you really are true to yourself, because we've had to prioritize and see what's important and what's not important, really get clear on what's important in your life and who's important, and making time, because the busyness, the doing every single day, the doing is always going to be there. The time with family or friends or love is not going to be there always if you don't make time for it. So that's my get clear and love everybody.
So true, so true. Thank you so much, Vicky, for joining us. And Vicky is doing a lot of work in terms of helping, especially women in sales, right?
Yes,
They
ma'am.
they run so much, stressful life and trying to balance life. And please check out her work and benefit from that. And thank you, Vicky, for joining.
Thanks, Dr. Rosina, and thanks for spreading all of this joy to everybody.
You're welcome. So next is a video sent by our guest, Marilyn McGuire. So let's hear her message.
Lots of help by Zooming my friends so I can see their faces, mine as well, or calling them, people I have a great affection for, but in the pace of everyday life don't always communicate with. And that has filled my heart and with such joy to be able to reconnect and share stories and laugh and think about other times or make jokes about this time as well. Then as I remember, one of my teachers used to say the words of St. Teresa, which were, we cannot do great things, but we can do small things with great love. So reaching out to do something for someone else is really important. My neighbors take my garbage cans to the end of the road. That helps me every week, and I am grateful. So gratitude is part of it as well. What we give and what we receive are sources of great gratitude, that we have the ability to help somebody else and that someone else cares about you and me as well. So the more things we can do in terms of great acts of kindness, the more our lives are brightened and the better we feel. So I'm grateful for the opportunity as well to congratulate Rosina once again on all the great work she does. And I wish you all safe and healthy days ahead. Thanks.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your inspirational message. And we would definitely try to think about, when you are having difficulty, think about helping somebody else, and it may help you uplift your soul too. So thank you. Next is the message from our guest Salima Jadavji, and she talked about overcoming past traumatic experiences when she was with us. And she writes,
Dr. Rosina, thank you so much for including me on your journey, and congratulations on this HHM milestone. You are doing wonderful work.
Well, thank you, Salima, for your message. And I would like to give a shout out to her podcast that she just recently started. Her podcast is called Dare to Share in Your Untold Story. And it's about breaking down barriers of mental stigma and encouraging people to share their stories and embrace mental beauty. So please check out programs on daretoshare.co to learn more about the intentions behind the podcast, full episode list, and guest bios. And if you are compelled to submit your story, you can do that by visiting the site. Thank you, Salima. Our next testimonial comes from Cindy Simonson, and she writes,
while reading your book, From Stress to Joy, I was captivated from the very beginning. I knew that it was going to be worth hearing and reading. I began hearing your messages even before Facebook Live launched. Your topic on anxiety and depression is invaluable in today's world. COVID has increased that need. Your motivation for writing the gratitude journal also struck with me. When I first became aware of the collision that affected your right hand and the consequences on your ability to function, I could relate immediately. At the very time of reading about your misfortune, I was in a painful recovery with physical therapy to hopefully improve the use of my own right hand. Different collision, mine was a ski fall. Scary not knowing the future.
Well, thank you, Cindy, for sharing your feedback. And now to the prize. The winners for tagging on social media are Linda Little and Sunday Elder. So thank you. And at this time, I would advise people, if you have not done the gratitude challenge or have developed a gratitude practice, you can start doing that now. The gratitude challenge, you can get it by visiting our website. All right. So the next, let's kind of talk about a couple of other experiences of the program.
Dr. Rosina, did you ever cry before the program?
Not just before the program. I actually ended up crying on the program. When you are trying to go on the screen, you're trying to kind of mask your emotion. I tried to be as natural as possible. But so one time I was talking about grief and a technique to overcome the grief. And at that time, I was missing my father a lot. So as I was sharing the technique, I started becoming tearful and actually started crying while talking. I was able to finish the program and give the technique. So that was good. And later on, I kept on thinking, should I remove that section where I ended up crying? Because you don't want something like this to show up. But then I realized that, being real helps people, because when you are grieving, you end up crying, and it's okay. It's okay to cry. And so I let it be there. So yes, that also happened. Let's give a shout out to a few of our more guests. And so Mike Goran and Emily Ventura, they wrote a book of Sugar Proof Your Kitchen, one of the very popular program. You guys learned a lot. And so if you haven't read the book yet, Sugar Proof, go get it. It's available on Amazon. I want to say thank you to Dr. Millie. She has been interviewing me for many of the programs. So thank you. Louise Griffith, she talked about building self-confidence, and Dr. David Hanscom, he talked about anxiety and pain. And George Glade, he's an ARNP, he talked about productivity at home. Gil Hasten, she talked about never too late to educate. And Dr. Margaret Rutherford, she talked about perfectly hidden depression. Thank you all for bringing your message to the audience. So our next guest that we're going to invite is Tara Lerner. And Tara did a program with us on bringing mindfulness for balancing a life of women in leadership. And so, hi, Tara, thanks for joining. Please tell us what has been your biggest challenge in this year and what helped you.
Hi, Dr. Rosina. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the show, and congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. What an accomplishment. And it's so exciting to see where you're going to go moving forward. And thank you for all of the people that you've already had the opportunity to help and that you'll help in the future. It's wonderful that we're talking more and more about the importance of our mental health. So yes, when you and I spoke, we were talking about how women can have it all and what it all really means, and how looking and activating your support networks are so important. And as a leadership coach that works especially with successful women to help them build resilience and find more joy and fully claim their leadership, COVID has presented a number of additional challenges, right, to women in the workforce. And as a fledgling business, my business, was fairly new and still is, but at the start of COVID, there's all of those feelings of, am I going to be able to keep going? Fear perhaps of making payroll for yourself, let alone the team that you're bringing on. And very much this has been an opportunity to practice acceptance of the as is. Very often, as leaders and as individuals, but even more so perhaps with leaders, we want to fix everything. We want to correct things. And some of this can't be fixed, right? So we've had this beautiful chance to practice the as is. I've been able to, fortunately, during this time, bring on more employees full time, which has been such an amazing honor. But we've also had to accept and acknowledge that the way in which they're working is different because of COVID. And that is something that will always now be a perk of my workplace, right? But it was very much something that was instituted through COVID and out of necessity. And so being able to work, and for me in particular with women, but with anybody that you're working with, and understand their circumstances, accept the as-is-ness of it, and use it as a practice and still get business done, still move forward, has been, our biggest challenge, but also our biggest blessing during this time.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So what message or tip would you give to our audience today?
I would encourage everybody to remember that you have your breath. The ability to, in any circumstance, return to your breath, to slow your breathing, to practice pranayama, to learn more about breathing techniques. They're simple, inexpensive ways to bring you back to the present and can help you as you're navigating that as-isness of life that we need to accept sometimes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for your message. And shout out to your Mindful Managers Facebook group.
Yes, that's right. Mindful People Managers. I'm also Tara Lerner Consulting on Instagram, and I also hang out a lot on LinkedIn. So
wonderful. Thank you so
thank
much.
you, Dr. Rosina.
All right. So our next message comes from our guest,
Most of last year,
Rajita.
fear and anxiety has been like a wildfire. There was a lot of unknown and uncertainty, which was not in my control. So I wanted to do something that was in my control. That led me to live a vibrant and a healthy life so that I can be shielded from any pathogen that comes my way. How did I do that? By eating mostly plant-based meals, exercise every day, letting go of negativity, forgiving people, accepting people the way they are, showing love and gratitude. And I continue these habits every single day. And I continue listening to Dr. Rosina's show on a regular basis. And I have changed my lifestyle. This is the way I live a happy and a healthy life.
She is doing a 6 weeks healing journey program. And so I give the shout out to her for that. And audience, if you'd like to join, Reboot Your Health with this unique coaching program. By enrolling you'll experience personal growth, self-awareness, and improve from your physical and mental illnesses. I'll put the link for her program in the testimonial. And so the next message comes from our guest, Donna Tijerson.
I am grateful and honored to be invited to be a guest on Dr. Rosina's Health and Happiness Weekly Talk. It was a great experience and provided an opportunity to share health tips and personal practices to support children's health and wellness. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna, so much. And she is the health coach that I work with now, and she got me started on my health journey. And so I did my own detox, and I'm working on my healthy eating. So thank you, Donna. And our next testimonial comes from Linda Little. And she said that her favorite was one program with the Marilyn about how to have a difficult conversation, and it helped me change my thinking to realize the impact my words may have on someone else. Beautiful. Thank you, Linda, for sharing. And so here are announcing our next prize goes for Amazon for tagging is for Linda Little and Malika and Tim for submitting the forms. So thank you all. And I suggest all of you, if you guys are listening, if you value these programs, please tag, share with your friends so more people can benefit.
Dr. Rosina, so what are the future plans with HHM?
Well, HHM is evolving. So let me ask the audience, what would they like for the future? So would you guys like that we do Ask Dr. Rosina question answer session where you guys can come on and ask any questions instead of staying with a specific topic in interview? If you would like, go ahead and put in the comment section, yes for Q&A or yes, Ask Dr. Rosina. And so we can do those programs. My second question to all of you is that would you like have more detailed training in a stress to joy program or happy and healthy mind habits program, so we can do more master classes and more webinars? And if you'd like, go ahead and put yes to webinars, yes to training. And then if you would like to have more intensive coaching where you guys can meet as a group and we can review each person's situation and help them through developing, nurturing happier and healthier minds, so we can overcome problems with feeling overwhelmed or concentration or focus. And so if you would like to have more coaching sessions, please go ahead and set yes to coaching in the comment section. All right. So our plan, while people are answering the question, I'll share what I'm planning to do. So I'm thinking about changing the format a little bit and including all the things that people would give me feedback for, either training, coaching, Q&As, and develop a small membership program so we can have smaller group of people meet. And then the second thing is that I will probably decrease the episode frequency. So instead of going every Saturday, I'll go every other Saturday or once a month based on my availability, so I can focus on getting you the book that I've been talking about. And so I'm working on the book, Dodging Depression and Anxiety, Practical Tools for Parents. Would you like me to work on the book and get the book out so that you can learn more tools for dodging depression and anxiety? Yes, I know, Justin, you are passionate about that topic, and if you guys like, please share that with me in the comment section. And I'm also bringing a lot more natural remedies. So as I am doing a fellowship in integrative psychiatry and learning more evidence-based natural remedies for situations where people are sensitive to medications or people don't want to try medication or are resistant, they can try the natural remedies. There's so many available that people don't know what to use because one guru says something, the other guru says something else. So I'm kind of bringing in more evidence-based natural remedies that are helping in mental health. So those are my future plans.
Great. Many guests share their wisdom or ebooks that you'll be able to get for free. So how can people get it?
So as we mentioned earlier, they can text the word joyful to the number 38470 and you will get the link to all the gift page. And we are also in the process of organizing all the gifts in a membership platform, so you can find all the interviews and resources by topic. So you'll be hearing more about our membership program, and we'll call it Inner Circle Membership, and it's in the process. All right. And so here I want to give shout out to a few of more guests. Megan Boyle, she talked about mental health first aid. Michelle D'Souza, Dr. Lokhandwala, Shalaza Bainbridge, she talked about organization. Dr. Uma Naidu, she talked about food and mood. And Dr. Vesna Skull, she talked about having mental clarity during and preventing the fogginess. So thank you all so much for joining. Thank you all for being part of HHM community and joining us for celebrating together today.
We are all in it together, helping each other. You never know what may inspire you and change the trajectory of your life. So whether you are doing well mentally and want to maintain optimum health and happiness, or are facing some mental challenges, this program is for you. We also post resources in our Facebook group, Happy and Healthy Mind with Dr. Rosina, so you can join by clicking the link in the description. If you find value in these programs, please subscribe and tell everyone you know about this program so more people can be helped to help live a happier and healthier lives. Share with your family and friends, your followers on social media, everyone. The more people who get the benefit from the program, the happier and healthier we will be.
Thank you so much. And now it's time for special. And so I'll share my favorite analogy. So, life presents so many challenges. So I like to think of life as a long road journey. All right. And this road is curvy and it has lots of traffic lights. Sometimes the lights are green and your life would flow smoothly. Sometimes there would be yellow light. So if you're closer to the light, push the accelerator and get through it, or slow down and take a moment. And sometimes the light would be red and you have to stop. You have to stop doing whatever you were doing, take a breather, gather all your strength together, and then the life would move on. And sometimes the lights would stop working and, it would be black and the traffic would jam and you would need somebody's help to get the traffic moving. But no matter how bad the traffic jam is, it would start moving again. So remember that no matter how difficult the life circumstances are, they're always going to change. And let me leave you with this question today. What do you choose in life? Are you going to let life take the control of you and give in or become negative in response? Or are you going to adapt to life's ups and downs, yellows and red lights and black traffic jams, and gather your strength together? Like Derek said, hold hand with somebody who can help you and hold hand with somebody you can help, and live your best life. Remember, what comes to you is not in your control, but how you respond is in your control. Make an intentional choice. You can do it. Till next time, Dr. Rosina.